Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Krishna, developer advocate here at Eden AI. Let's talk about batch processing. Why is it so useful? And it's very popular. Like why batch processing is important, right? So we'll start with why it's so useful, of course, and then move on to which features basically support this batch processing because there are a lot of features on Eden AI. But few features doesn't support this and most of them do. So let's talk about what the features are, and then I'll show you a quick demo of how to use this batch processing api into one of your own projects and see how it works, right? And then we can also see how to monitor this. So this is the agenda of this video, and without any delay, let's get started. So why use the batch processing in the first place? Right, I mean, let's say if you have a large number of documents, like thousands of documents or text snippets, batching together basically means you don't have to send each item, as a separate request. Basically, you're passing all these into a group and you're passing it in a single request, right? So it saves a lot of time. And I think sending many requests at once can, sometimes overload your workplace or your workflow, right? So batching keeps these things in a place, like an organized place. So it prevents basically the request overload. That's what I believe. And finally, it also avoids the rate limits, right? So because most of the AI services, including OpenAI or other services, they impose rate limits to prevent the abuse. So by grouping multiple items into a single job, you can basically reduce all these the rate limits. So in short, I think batch processing basically keeps your project running smoothly and efficiently as possible. So where can we use this batch processing, right? All of the Eden AI synchronous features support batch processing. So, for example, in audio, the text to speech supports batch processing, and in the image, anonymization, explicit content, face detection, generation, etc., etc. All of these synchronous AI features, they support batch processing. And also in the OCR part, for example, identity parser or OCR and financial parser and resume parser, all of these support the batch processing. And apart from these, including the text-based features such as chat, code generation, etc., etc., including the translation part, automatic translations, and also the document translations, and something like named entity recognitions. So almost all of these synchronous AI features, they support batch processing. So it's quite convenient, and as I mentioned before, super useful. So when you open the Eden AI's application and when you navigate to the batch processing, so this is where you can find all the batch projects you have. Apparently, we don't have any. It's quite new. So how can we initiate a batch project? That's the question. Well, you cannot do it on the application right now, but you can use the API to initiate the batch process. So let's see that in action now. There's a quick code snippet provided on this batch processing screen itself. If you see, if you click this, yeah, you can see Python-based code snippet and JavaScript-based code snippet. Right? So for now, I'm using Fast API as my environment, so I'll go with Python. And you can see the four APIs. So one is to launch the batch, to initiate the batch, and the second one is to get the job results, if it is succeeded or failed, or, you get the results of the job. And third is to delete the job. It's quite straightforward. And finally, list jobs, like how many jobs do you have. So this is where it lists all the jobs that are in your batch process, right? So we can use this quick code snippet into our own projects where we want to use our own batches, right? So I created a small fast API application where I used small data. I think this is the same data that I've used just to check the sentiment. And I'm going to show you right now how I've implemented it so that it will be quite clear to understand. So let's dive into the code now. Okay, this is the code project I was talking about. It's a small project. I mean, it's not a project as such, but just kind of an example for you guys to understand. So it's currently running on Fast API, and um, I took the code snippet that's available, whatever we have seen before, right? So I got my API key, and then this is the base URL. Everything I took from the code snippet again. So nothing innovative from my end. So everything is mentioned on the Eden AI. So okay, I have four APIs. I mean, I four endpoints I've created just locally, and one is to launch the job. It uses the same API from the Eden AI, and then one is to get the result, job result, and then one is to delete the job, and finally to list all the jobs. Right? I mean, quite simple. Created my own local endpoints, and I used the code snippet that's available on the Eden AI code snippet. I ran the server. It's locally running here, and let's test it. Okay. So okay, so this is how you launch the job, right? So one okay, so this is the example snippet. It's the same example code I've taken from the code snippet. So it has basically two samples in this batch. I mean, it's pretty. It's not even a batch. Okay, so we have two examples in a batch, and I just run it. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we got the job ID as test job 1 and 0 failed, total 2. So it worked, right? So yeah, now let's see this on the Eden AI platform, if we got the job there or not. Okay. Okay, now we are on the batch processing screen again. And if we hit the refresh, we can see, yes, a new test job has been created. And yeah, it succeeded. Okay, so let's go back to the code and see the other endpoints as well. Okay. Okay, so what about the other endpoint? Um, so this endpoint basically gives the result of the job, right? So this is the job ID. My job ID was test job 1, test underscore job underscore 1. So it's just a get request, and if I just hit this, okay. Oh, we got it. So this is the request. It says it basically gives the answer, right? I mean, okay. So it says, okay. I used to provide a Google. So it says the sentiment is negative. Uh, it's minus 25 outside and so hot. It's negative. Okay. And the other several unsatisfied, but 2 years of major improvement needed. So it's basically a neutral sentiment. So I mean, it's okay. I mean, Google did the job well. So yeah. So this is a this endpoint gave the result pretty well. And what about the other one? Okay, so this is basically deleting, right? So let's see the other endpoint first and see. Okay, so this basically lists all the jobs, right? So if I hit send, oh yeah, see, since we have only one, so it's basically a list of the objects. So or list of dictionaries, you can call it. So it says okay, the name. That's it. I mean, it's just the list of jobs. That's it. And finally, let's go to the delete and see if we hit this. I mean, we didn't get any response, but we can go again back to the menu and see if it is deleted or not. Or we can run the list and see. Yep, it's an empty array. So there's no job because we deleted it. So that's how you can use the APIs here, and you can do your batch processing. So I hope the tutorial is crystal clear, but I mean, there is a lot of documentation available on the platform itself. If you have any doubts, you can check out the documentation on the tutorial as well. But I hope this is like crystal clear because I kept it as simple as possible. So if you like this video, like this tutorial, thank you so much, and have a great day.